name is Archie, and today I'm bringing you the 6th episode of our Road to Champion League series. In the last episode, I really struggled to get any points. As I'm now in Division 6, the players I faced were generally pretty good, but what made it worse is that I tilted early on, which, as I'm sure you're all aware, is not good at all for if you're trying to do well. So in today's episode, we're going to be doing something different in our journey to the Champion League, as we won't be playing Arena. Instead, we're going to be competing in a Hype Night. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, Hype Nights are weekly tournaments where you're given a set window to play 10 matches. You get points for how well you perform in each game, with having a similar format to Arena. You put against players with a similar points total, so naturally, as your points increase, so does the difficulty of your lobby. But what's the point in playing it? Surely I'd be better off playing Arena if I'm trying to get to champs. Well, that brings me to the rewards, as depending on how well you do, you'll actually receive Arena points as prizes. And what makes it even better is that you don't lose any points for entering, so you're essentially just getting free points. In the last episode, we only managed to get 270 points from our 10 games, so for this Hype Night to be worth it, I'm going to aim to come top 5%, as this would get me 375 points. I'm not sure if that's realistic, but I guess there's only one way to find out. So, let's jump straight into the gameplay. So heading into this first game, I was really excited to see how I would do. I've not competed in any sort of tournament since the Winter Royale of 2018, which was a long time ago now. Back then, I was still using a controller and playing on my Xbox, so a lot has changed since then, and I've not even played any Cash Cups, so really, I had no idea how I would fare. All I could hope for is that I'd get enough points to push me into Division 7, as I'm only 200 points away, although Game 1 isn't the greatest start to the Hype Night. That definitely wasn't the way I wanted the tournament to start. But we go again. And in Game 2, I decided to land at the top of this mountain, instead of at the bottom like I did in the game before. I figured that this would give me natural high ground, so if I'm contested, then I'll be in a decent position. There is a player down below, and I'm really tempted to push him, but I figure that it's safer to get looted up first, and go for placement, as I don't want to risk potentially losing the fight and getting 0 points from my first 2 matches. I'm able to rack up plenty of placement points this game, but now my main focus is on making it to the circle, whilst taking as little damage as possible. When you've got lots of players near you, it's important to protect yourself from all sides, which naturally uses up a lot of materials. And in tournaments, your materials are capped at 500 of each resource, meaning you can quickly run out of materials. And once I realise that I'm running dangerously low, I decide to up the aggression, as I desperately need to replenish my material count, otherwise I won't be able to last much longer. I'm able to get some extra materials, but I didn't pick up any of his wood or brick. However, that doesn't stop me from attempting to go for high ground, which in hindsight was a mistake, as I quickly run out of materials, which forces me to go for a 50-50. 8 HP? You've got to be kidding me. The next game, I decide to land at the Orchard. There's a chance that it could be contested, as it's a fairly popular spot, but to my surprise, I've got it all to myself. My loot is looking pretty good, but this green pump simply won't do. So I want to get enough materials so that I can upgrade it to a purple one. However, before I'm able to, I suddenly get shot at, and what makes matters worse is that they've got an RPG. We start to build fight, and she seems like a decent player. We both connect with our shotguns, but I definitely came out of it the worse. It's not looking good. All I want to do is heal, but she's not leaving me alone, and I keep getting higher and higher to get away from her. And we all know what happens when I get into a massive build fight. It never ends well. But this is one of the rare occasions where a third party actually helps me out. Later that game, I found myself in a house, right in the centre of the circle. I've got plenty of mats, but I decide to destroy everything in the house, as well as the walls, before replacing them with my own. This way, I've got full control of the area, and if I'm able to tunnel to the circle from this position, then I'll be able to go back into the house and pick up the mats that are left there. Placement points are required before I turn my attention to getting some kills, but I don't need to push anyone, so I just take shots from my builds, hoping that I'll be able to snag 1 or 2 kills. But as per usual, Bloom is not on my side, so I end up giving up. Did that just hit me? What? I'm confused. I can hear the sound of people fighting really close by. I don't necessarily want to fight them, but I'm running short of brick and metal, so I run into the action to see if I could snag some free mats. No, that was my kill.
Oh my god. Oh fucking hell, that is
In game 4, I was lucky enough to find a legendary scar, which is always a great feeling. So my loot is looking pretty damn good. I head south, hoping to snag some extra loot, but I start getting sniped at. I'm not too concerned though, as they're miles away, so it'd take a great shot to hit me.
What?
How on earth did that hit me? Did it go through my wall? What the hell? I'm able to make it to the endgame, and in fairness, there's still quite a few people left. What I need to do now is to get a good position in the circle, and hopefully I'll be able to do that without people trying to kill me. The rest of the lobby starts to focus on me as well, but I'm able to ride the pressure without taking any more damage. With me having a launch pad, it means that I can afford to wait longer until moving to the circle. However, I suddenly find myself fighting a player, which is the last thing I need to be doing right now. I just want to get to the circle, but I'm forced to use all of my fish, so it's vital that I use this launch pad as soon as possible. However, for some reason that I can't even explain, I take way too long to set up the pad, and what follows is a little bit embarrassing.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god, I'm the ball.
I really hate myself right now. In the 5th match, I found myself in a really good position. My loot is near enough perfect, my materials are at max, and I'm in the circle. However, I don't have any mobility, so when I see that a crate has dropped nearby, I decide to go for it, as they're guaranteed to give you a launch pad, which is all I need right now. However, I can hear a player right in front of me, and I suspect that they're just waiting for me to go for the crate, and I suddenly find myself getting shot at from behind. Once the storm starts to move in, I decide to just get to the circle. Looking back now, I'm not sure why I didn't open the care drop. I was really close to it, so I could have got it. Oh well. Once I see that the circle is nearby, I decide to tunnel my way there, knowing that I can move back into the building and pick up the extra mats. And when the circle moves back in the direction of my previous builds, it once again means that I can pick up any extra mats, which is great, as having max materials means you can go for high ground and keep it without running out of mats, although my plan is almost scuppered by this massive bush. I don't have high ground, but at least I'm still alive. Another player does end up going down thankfully, before things start to get pretty hectic. Everything is happening so quickly that I barely have time to think. It's a lot of fun, but I found it really intense.
Oh.
3rd place, I'll take it. So I've now completed half of my matches and I found myself on 30 points. I've no idea if that's even good, but as long as we keep getting points each match, then I'll be happy.
Fuck.
Let's forget about that one. I hate losing early game fights. That's why I try to avoid contesting my drop. But in game 7, once again, a player decides to join me at the beach huts. This time, however, I decide to play it more patiently, getting as many mats as possible before engaging in the fight. However, my opponent pushes me much quicker than I expected, so I still quickly run out of materials. So all I can hope for is that I'm able to hit my shots. the circle ends up taking me towards Sweaty Sands, by which time I've been able to acquire some top tier loot. However, after just getting placement points for coming top 25, I quickly get pushed. I don't fancy this fight, I just want to get to the circle, but this player won't leave me alone, so it's looking like I'm going to be forced to fight, and unfortunately, there are more players looking to get involved.
Oh my god.
But I think these players realised that I'm not about to give them a free kill, so I was actually able to get away, with little hassle. I make my way to the circle, hoping to position myself on top of these builds, but it's not going to be as straightforward as it looks. With me using so many materials during my fight earlier, it means that I'm now running desperately low, and with the circle being positioned around so much water, I'm going to need way more materials. Because of this, I'm forced to fight this player, in the hope that I'll be able to take the materials.
No! Oh, come on.
God damn it. In game 8, I found myself contested at my drop once again. Why is it suddenly so popular? With me getting an assault rifle from my first chest, I feel confident enough to push my opponent, hopefully before they've looted up. The skill level of the players that I came across during this hype night definitely wasn't as high as in my arena lobbies, but I still ran into plenty of decent players. What this meant is that I was able to have a lot of good fights without getting destroyed too often. Like in this fight here, they clearly know what they're doing. Despite not actually hitting me once, they're good enough for me to feel tested, but not so good that I can't outplay them.
Bitch. Get absolutely shit on. Fuck. Cute.
I'm in a really good position now. I've got lots of materials, a launch pad, and my loot is looking pretty much perfect. And before you say it, yes, I swapped the pump for the tac. Don't judge me. So it's all looking good. Well, that is until someone randomly decides to hit me with the heavy sniper RPG combination. I moved towards the player as I saw another launch pad nearby in that direction. But in hindsight, that was a mistake, as it wasn't worth the risk, and I ended up having to use my own launch pad anyway. Not that it really got me too far. This has actually put me in a really awkward position, with the first player down below, as well as another player pressuring me from up ahead. Thankfully though, this player ends up using a launch pad, which I'm happy to use myself. So I've gone from being in a really bad position to suddenly the best spot in the game. My only issue is that I don't have an awful lot of materials, so I make the decision to farm the tree nearby, but without covering my back. And I think we all know exactly what's about to happen.
No. Oh, I'm such a dumb bitch.
That doesn't count. I can't believe I did that. That's genuinely one of the most frustrating deaths I've had throughout this series. Like, it was a free win. I can't believe I threw it away. When you're playing Hype Nights, it's important that you manage your games well, so that you can maximise your points. As we only get a 3-hour window, it means that if you do well and make it to endgame every single match, then you'll run out of time before you can complete all of your 10 games. Granted, this wasn't an issue for me, but if you decide to play the Hype Night yourself, then it's something definitely worth considering.
Bitch. Get fucking shit on.
Look at this loot. This is the definition of god tier loot. And I'm even able to get an extra launch pad, as this care drop was uncontested. After launching to the circle, I secure my position on the high ground, on top of this house. This natural high ground means that I'm in a great position to see the rest of the lobby and take shots from afar. But I've definitely got to keep aware of my surroundings, as I don't want to get sniped again. With the circle moving at the completely opposite end, I'm forced to use my final launch pad, but it doesn't go as smoothly as I'd hoped. And suddenly, I've gone from being in a position of power to now being under real pressure. And if I'm being honest, I'm completely rattled. My composure has gone, meaning I missed so many easy shots, and now I'm desperately weak. But I am still alive, so there's always a chance. However, when building up, I get lasered from behind, which ends up costing me the match. So heading into the final game, I think it's a good time to reflect on how the Hype Night has gone. And honestly, I think I've done alright. I've not gotten a lot of kills, as obviously I've mainly been going for placement, but I have managed to get points in almost every single match. I was actually a little bit apprehensive about playing this, as I thought I wouldn't be able to cope, but it's not been too difficult. The matches have definitely been challenging, but far from impossible. So if I do decide to play another Hype Night in future, then I'll be able to go into it without any fear. But before we think about future Hype Nights, I've got to close this one out properly. And my current focus is just to get to the circle, which would have been completely feasible if a player wasn't hiding in the building.
Oh my.
Luckily enough, another player enters the fight, which gives me the chance to heal up, which is great. Or at least it would have been, if I'd made it out of there alive.
Oh.
So that's how Hype Night finished, and I've ended up on 60 points, and honestly, I've had a great time. It's been a lot of fun, but it's time to find out how I've done. Where did I place? And more importantly, how many arena points am I going to get from it? So with Fortnite Tracker, tracking all of the tournaments, I was able to find out that I came in 7,060th place, which was actually in the top 3%, which sounds kind of really good. Like, I didn't think I'd done that great, but to place in the top 3%, I can't be disappointed. And most importantly, it means that I received 375 arena points, which has finally pushed me to Division 7. So I'm really happy with that. So, have you ever played a Hype Night? If so, how many points did you get? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you want to support me as a content creator, then feel free to use my creator code, which is on the screen now. So anytime you buy something in the item shop and use my code, it'll go directly towards supporting the channel, which would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time for another video. Goodbye.